Episode 3, Eeyore's Cheerful Surprise, the funniest party in the Hundred Acre Wood. In the heart of the Hundred Acre Wood, where the trees swayed like dancers and flowers seemed to giggle in the breeze, lived a thoughtful, slightly gloomy donkey named Eeyore. Everyone in the forest loved Eeyore, even if he did see the world through a glum lens. His friends knew he had a heart of gold, and that he deserved happiness just as much as anyone else. One morning, as the sky blushed pink and gold, Eeyore found himself near his favorite spot, a cozy clearing under a grand oak tree. He let out a big sigh, feeling a little more blue than usual. Meanwhile, his friends Rabbit, Pooh, Tigger, Piglet, Kangaroo, and Owl had noticed Eeyore's mood and put their heads together. They whispered and nodded, each one determined to bring a smile to their donkey friend. "Eeyore needs a surprise," said Rabbit. "A great, big, cheerful surprise." Everyone agreed. "We'll throw him the funniest, silliest, most colorful party ever," said Tigger, bouncing up and down with excitement. And so, they each took on a role. Rabbit would handle the decorations, Tigger would DJ the music, Pooh would bring honey treats, Piglet would pick flowers, and Owl, of course, would oversee the planning. The 100-acre Wood bustled with activity, but nothing went quite as planned. First, Rabbit tried hanging bright-colored streamers from tree branches, but the streamers had other ideas. One streamer wrapped itself around his ears, another tangled with his feet, and a third seemed to think his nose was a perfect perch. "Oh dear," mumbled Rabbit, looking more like a wrapped-up gift than a party planner. When Tigger saw him, he laughed so hard he nearly fell into a bush. "I'm okay. Just, testing the decorations," said Rabbit, blushing as he tried to wiggle free. Next, it was Tigger's turn to get things lively with music. He set up his bouncy tunes and shouted, "Everyone, dance like Tigger." He bounced around, thumping his tail to the beat, and his friends tried their best to follow. Pooh spun in wobbly circles, Piglet tried a careful little jig, and Roo attempted a wild hop that sent him tumbling into Kanga's lap. "Wee!" cried Roo, giggling as Kanga hugged him tight. Suddenly, Tigger turned up the volume, and everyone started bouncing in a hilarious jumble. Piglet lost his balance and ended up spinning in a dizzy circle, while Pooh tumbled backward into a honey pot. "Oops," said Pooh, licking honey off his nose with a grin. Even Rabbit couldn't help but join in the laughter as he untangled himself from the streamers. Piglet, eager to add his own special touch, picked a beautiful bouquet of flowers for the party. But as he arranged them in a little pot, he accidentally released a huge cloud of pollen. "Ah, ah, ACHOO, went Piglet, sneezing so hard that the flowers went flying, scattering petals everywhere. Soon everyone was sneezing, their noses tickled by the flower cloud. "Bless you," said Owl, as he fluffed his feathers and tried to stay dignified. By the time they finished, the party looked like a rainbow explosion of tangled streamers, honey-smeared grass, and flower petals everywhere. But their laughter filled the air, and each friend felt the joy of their silly, imperfect creations. Finally, the big moment arrived. Eeyore, still deep in his thoughtful mood, wandered toward the clearing. When he stepped under the grand oak tree, he blinked in surprise. What he saw before him was nothing short of a colorful mess, balloons hanging upside down, flowers scattered like confetti, streamers wrapped around branches, and honey splashes dotting the grass. His friends stood there with huge grins on their faces, Tigger bouncing so much he was nearly a blur. "Surprise, Eeyore!" they shouted, laughing so hard they could barely stand. Eeyore's eyes widened as he looked around at the funny, chaotic scene. They'd gone through all this trouble just for him? His heart swelled, and a tiny, shy smile touched his lips. "Oh, well, hello," he said, touched beyond words. He didn't mind that it was messy, or that the decorations looked like they'd been through a storm. It was beautiful because it was made by his friends. "Time to dance, Eeyore," cried Tigger, grabbing Eeyore's hoof and spinning him around. Eeyore stumbled a bit, his clumsy hooves no match for Tigger's energy, but he couldn't help chuckling. Soon, they were all dancing together in their funny, mismatched way. Rabbit twirled a streamer like a ribbon, Owl flapped his wings to the beat, and Piglet tried a cautious little hop. As they danced and laughed, Eeyore felt lighter than he ever had. This was the happiest he'd been in a long time, surrounded by friends who cared. They didn't need anything perfect, only each other's company and a willingness to look a bit silly. Finally, as the stars began to twinkle in the sky, they all sat together under the grand oak tree. Eeyore leaned back with a big sigh, but this time it was a sigh of contentment. He looked at each of his friends and said softly, "Thank you for making me feel special." Pooh, his face sticky with honey, patted Eeyore's hoof. "Any time, Eeyore. Friends are what make life sweet." They sat under the stars, sharing silly stories and laughing until they could barely breathe. Eeyore had learned that sometimes the silliest, messiest moments could bring the biggest joy, and he realized that he was truly lucky to have friends like these. And from that day on, whenever Eeyore felt a bit gloomy, he would remember this magical, messy, laughter-filled night and feel a little bit brighter inside. The end.